it has been a brutal week for the Steelers in the wide receiver market. They have watched everybody. I mean, the DJ Khaled, another one meme, has been used by me personally too many times in the course of 7 days. We're talking T. Higgins, franchise tag, which then maybe wasn't a franchise tag because he said that's cap. And then what I'm hearing, it's franchise tag. He's getting franchise tagged. And whether they trade him, whatever, they believe that they could sign him. They believe it's all going to work out. I don't think it's gonna, but for right now, let bygones be bygones. We'll see what happens. Chris Godwin is expected to be tagged or retained by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Deebo Samuel shocks the world with, I think, a very good trade for both sides here. 5th round pick to the Washington Commanders. Christian Kirk, from what I have been told, is more likely to sign an extension and lower his cap hit so that he could stay in Jacksonville than he is to hit the open market. It's coming down to Amari Cooper, Darius Slayton, Cooper Kupp, maybe a bunch of nobodies behind them looking for jobs this offseason, and the Steelers with a desperate need at wide receiver. I don't know where they go. I'll tell you that in my eyes, everybody will say Darius Slayton, like that's the big name. I would imagine it is. Like I would imagine that guy's growing in the eyes of the Pittsburgh Steelers, that they're about it. I've had conversations where in Indy where it went, hey, do you think the Steelers would have actually made a move for T. Higgins? And they said, yeah, until the Patriots signed him for $40 million a year. And I was like, well, that's insane. And that's what probably would have happened. I think Darius Slayton, if his number stays okay, is a name to watch. But the more names that come off the board, the more this roller coaster ride continues, the more I'm pretty certain that Cooper Kupp is going to end up in Pittsburgh because it just makes too much sense. He's a reliable veteran for a team that needs a reliable veteran. He might not have crazy upside, and he might definitely be on the back half of his career. But if the Rams, who are definitely looking to save money right now, are open to moving him and taking on some of that cap hit, then why wouldn't the Steelers say, okay, let's make a trade happen? He's not going to go for more than a 5th round pick. And the Steelers had interest in him a year ago. They clearly still have interest in him today, especially after being able to bounce back. People will say like, oh, he had a down year. Yeah, he finished with 130 yards in the final playoff game. Like the guy clearly showed I could still do this. I don't think they're going after Devontae Adams. Not yet, at least. If he's released and willing to sign for cheap, maybe. But the guy's 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns last season. I don't care that he's 32 years old. Chances are he's still looking for $25, $30 million a year for one last deal. Steelers aren't going to give that up. I think Cooper Kupp's the name. I think Darius Slayton is a name to watch. I think the Steelers might surprise us and go wide receiver 1st round of the NFL draft if somebody falls. But the more I sit here, the only guarantee in my head is number 10 in Los Angeles. It's not Matthew Stafford. I think it's going to be Cooper Kupp. Disappointed? I think that's the question to ask.
I mean, I don't dislike the Cooper Kupp addition. I understand that he's coming with a pretty hefty price tag, but at the same time, you look at that wide receiver core and what are they missing? They're missing somebody that can get open underneath. They already have the home run hitter in George Pickens. They have somebody who can be a home run hitter in Calvin Austin. But what did Austin not show last year? That whenever the play breaks out of structure, he's not finding Justin Fields. He's not getting in the lane of vision for Justin Fields. No wide receivers for the Steelers did that last year. Now, maybe that's something Roman Wilson can do when he gets onto the field this year, but that's something that Cooper Kupp has done at a very high level for a very long time. So yeah. I think Cooper Kupp is something that could help the Pittsburgh Steelers passing game. The question that I have now is, I understand that the Rams said, listen, we're done. Like, we're going to try to trade you expeditiously. Well, it's been over a month and they haven't traded him to this point. And they just said they're running it back with Matthew Stafford. What's to stop them from sitting there saying, well, you know what? Maybe we run it back with Cooper Kupp as well, because let's not act like Cooper Kupp doesn't want to stay in Los Angeles. That's his preference. He said that right off the bat, that he would prefer to stay in Los Angeles. So that's the one poison pill in the whole Cooper Kupp to Pittsburgh conversation is, what if LA just tucks tail and says, you know what? let's just keep him. We're going for it with Stafford again. Why not bring back, his number 2, his right-hand man, and run it with Nakua and Kupp once again? So that's what's still sticking at the back of my head. And other than that, you named a lot of players there. Devontae Adams, Darius Slayton.
Yeah.
No mention of Brandon Aiyuk at all from you?
Look it. I am not going to do that to everybody again. I won't do it to everybody again. I understand that Brandon Aiyuk is out there. I understand the 49ers probably want to trade him. Probably. Like, I have a hard time believing that they don't want to trade him. They understand that they are in a bad place right now, that window is closed. They're about to sign Brock Purdy and things are great. The Steelers would not trade Brandon Aiyuk for anything less than a 5th round pick. They wouldn't do it because he's coming off an ACL injury. He's worth a boatload of money right now. And I get it. Like, he's cheap compared to some other guys, but you have so many questions when it comes to Brandon Aiyuk. That is just not a name that I think they have interest in. They probably will. I'm certain that John Lynch and Omar Khan had a conversation and probably will have another or two. But man, I can't sit here and do that. I can't sit here and do that to the people. Brandon Aiyuk, we haven't even put out a story on SI.com. We haven't even done it because I won't do it. I won't do it to the people. Nick Fairbaugh, shout out our boy Nick Fairbaugh, texted me last night. He said, Aiyuk to the Steelers again? Eye emoji. Didn't even text him back. I can't do it, man. I can't wrap my brain around these things happening. I don't know. I think the Debo trade, from what I'm hearing out of San Francisco, which, that's just, I don't know John Lynch personally, but from what I'm hearing out of San Francisco, it's that, Debo trade they need to get rid of one of them. They didn't know who was going to be, but they needed to get rid of one of them. And yeah, they're open to a Brandon Aiyuk trade, but I think it's more so just like what I got out of it was you had to say something if you're John Lynch to let everybody else know if you want to call with an offer, you can call with an offer. But hopefully we get a good offer, a 3rd round pick, a 2nd round pick, to the point where they could just sit back and go, all right, that's a steal. You could have the guy that just blew his knee out for $27-28 million a year. We'll take your 3rd round pick. That sounds good to me. The Steelers would not give that up. I also think Omar Khan would limit it to one phone call and say, all right, we're not doing this again. And then we're done. Brandon Aiyuk, man. What you just did to so many people in this live stream. So many people.
Listen, he's on the market. I figured I'd throw it out there. I know that is much lower on the list now than it was late last year, but it's a conversation that's being had right now in the NFL, not necessarily one that the Steelers are interested in.
Yeah. I don't know who's above him. I'm sure that he's somewhat high on a list of options. I don't think he's over Darius Slayton or Cooper Kupp where we stand right now, unless that price tag is a 5th round pick. That price tag is a 5th round pick. Omar Khan might give a phone call and say, yeah, let's make it happen. But I think it was a trade one of them. We'll see what happens type of situation in San Francisco.